Oh. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Keep going. Keep going.
Oh, Detroit.
Where are we? All right. This is our transition week, right? We're going from the level 1 to the level 2 with a little AUA. Ask us anything.
Ask us anything.
Ask us anything. It appears we have a lot of questions.
It just happened that lines up with AU, Philly University, AUA.
Maybe.
I mean, the similarities are striking.
We got the whack pack in full effect. Trish, Nick. I don't know where Corey and Mike are, but I'm sure they'll be around shortly. And you guys in the chat, if you're watching, they can add questions here, right, Cody?
Yeah, throw them in the chat.
What's happening? Where's all this noise coming from?
What noise?
Are you like opening and closing a drawer?
That's something.
Something happened.
I have no drawers.
Okay.
Just rocking
Anyway, first question: can Fern grow a beard?
No.
No. Second question.
Conquistador vibes. I do conquer, Trish, if that's what you're referring to.
Conquistador. Yeah. What's the longest?
I can grow. Actually, let me clarify. I can grow great chops.
Really?
And I can grow. Yeah. Like I can grow like some fantastic mutton chops. I can grow a good goatee. I can grow to a T Joe Dirt facial hair. It just doesn't grow in right there, so it's naturally all white and trashy like that, Trish.
What's the longest you've ever let it go?
My facial hair?
Yeah.
Oh, like when I was growing my hair out, I had like I don't know if we'd call it a beard, but it was like a homeless guy facial thing going on. It was pretty bad.
All right. Cody's also low-key grown back a little soul patch. How come you're going more than just the mustache?
He's a mustache soul patch kind of guy, though. Like, I don't think a lot of people can pull off mustaches.
I can't.
No, I tell you what, when you sent that picture, you should never, ever shave your face again.
Oh, the one of me and you at the games?
Yeah. You should never shave your face again. You look super creepy.
I know.
With a shaved face.
It's embarrassing.
It's really bad. It looks worse than I look with facial hair. I look homeless. You look creepy.
Trish gave me $3 to shave my face. Sorry. You know.
She might have. That might be true. So we've got
so many questions about this conquistador thing. Like, what does that even mean?
Well, it's because you're Cuban. She's being racist, if I'm being honest.
Right. It's a Spanish conqueror.
Yeah.
I understand what a conquistador is. I want to know how I give off conquistador vibes is the question.
I think 200 years ago, you would have been like
the king.
King. You would have showed up on a horse somewhere with a sword.
I'll show up on a horse now.
You're very Inigo Montoya-esque.
Yeah, I'm still looking for a man with 6 fingers on his right hand.
So many references. I don't have any of this just queued up. I wish I had them all just queued up, ready.
We need a better producer with Princess Bride references. We wrapped up level 1 last week with the trainer agreement and all that good stuff. Next week we kick off the level 2 with who is it? Steve Haydock.
Yeah.
Steve Haydock, OG. And this week we're doing the AUA. So we've already answered one question. Let's go on to some CrossFit questions.
Let's start with, let's see, I've got, and these, if you're listening and watching, these questions are going to be coming like shotgun style. They're coming from all different directions. We just took some polls on the social medias and got everything. If you have a question as well, live in the chat, throw it in here. We'll pull it up, but we're just going to start from the top here.
Nick B said we better answer his, so he must have given us one.
Fine, yeah, we'll start with his.
Let's give the.
You don't make demands here, Nick P. We will literally cut you out of this feed.
He's in the whack pack. He's allowed to ask the second question.
His question was: are there progressions for all 9? Are there official progressions for all 9 foundational movements, or only some of them? And then throw in another one out there. Are there official progressions for the movements outside of the 9 foundational movements? Or is it just progressions that we've come up with along the way that we found that gets us from point A to
there's
point B.
kind of like, there's some kind of official progressions, if you will, and then unofficial progressions within the 9 found, like within the level 1 specifically. There you would hear the term progression used 3 different ways. Number 1, progressions within the 9 foundational movements. Not all 9 have progressions. Only 4 of the 9 have progressions. So push, press, push, jerk, the sumo high pull, and the medicine ball clean. All the other movements are taught in a progression, meaning like they progress in difficulty from left to right. So think squat goes into front squat, goes into overhead squat. That is a progression of difficulty. And then the third place you would hear that, as far as a progression goes, would be in the GHD lecture, where there is a progression through the movements of on difficulty. So think back extension, hip extension, hip extension, back extension, and then hip and back extension. Meaning you need to be able to do one before you move to the next. So those are the three different variations of per the term progression that you would hear. To answer specifically, no, there are not all 9 have a progression, but there are other progressions taught within the course. So the progression for the muscle up, the snatch progression, which is a kind of a spin off of the Bergner warm up, which in itself is a progression. The pull up progression. But you can make a progression for anything, and we would challenge you to do that. You should be able to teach virtually anything in a progression, because it follows all of the rules of, tell, show, do, check with regard to teaching, and then baby stepping people through a process. So I think that's all things progression. Maybe, I don't know, Jay, do you want to add anything?
I think you ultimately nailed it all, and the movements. Obviously, I think Nick was asking about the push press, the push jerk, all the med ball clean, sumo high pull, all the other movements. We kind of have some freedom and flexibility in how we do it. I think something we talk about all the time is ultimately how you get there is less important than getting there with your people doing them correctly. That being said, what's your typical, if I said, Fern, more often than not, how do you teach the air squat? How do you do it?
Oh, set up and go. Where like feet, like where do their feet go? I will very briefly teach the concept of midline stabilization, and then we're squatting. I'm not breaking that down into any like steps. I'm not doing quarter squats or pauses or back and forth. I'm like squat down, stand up.
But I mean,
there's a time and a place for progressions, but
layering more so. Like, for example, when I do the air squat, yes, stance first, and then I usually go ground up.
Yeah, I'll use it very similar. I'll bounce around a little bit, maybe here and there, but it's typically I'm just going to work by joint. So I'm going to go, feet, knees, hips, shoulders.
Yeah, and once in a while, and again, this is for all you guys. That's where you triage. If I'm like, I got a group of 10 people and 4 of them have rounded backs, even though my plan might be go feet, knees, I might go right to midline stabilization or not, because it's unloaded, and I'll get there eventually. So big picture is have a plan to get there.
I think Fern, you did some knowledge content on like skiing, right? And I think I had reached out and asked you, personally, and I was like, why did you teach it that way? Is that the way that it's supposed to be taught? It's like, no, it's like there's not an official way to teach somebody how to ski, but we can put them in positions and try to get them from standing tall to the end of the stroke, and from there to there.
Yeah, I think people get wrapped around the axle like you have to do it this way, and like not really. I'm like, but the progressions, they should be logically built, meaning they should be built to isolate certain aspects of the movement. So, like the push press, for instance, when we teach the dip and hold, the dip drive slow, the dip drive fast, and then the full push press, the dip and hold is for torso position. That's why you're doing it. It's not because we just like to hold that position. And then the dip drive slow is torso position plus timing. Right. And thinking of like depth of the dip. Dip drive fast is just a different variation of that to make sure that we can put all the pieces together with speed. And then the press is like, now it's timing at the end. Like, do the hands leave after the hips extend? So you should be able to ask yourself, like, does this allow me to break this down in a teachable fashion and expose or teach certain things that I need to happen in this movement, regardless of what it is? Like, you should be able to teach the burpee in a progression. You should be able to teach the sit up in a progression. You should be able to teach rowing in a progression, skiing, like all of it you should be able to teach it in some sort of rudimentary progression that allows you to convey a large body of information fairly concisely.
All right, let's check out some of the other questions that we got here. What do you think about 2 heavy days in the same week?
Yeah.
Sure. That was easy. Yeah.
I do 4. I do 4 right now.
Yeah, I think it depends on what you're talking about, like what heavy days, right? So like this is where one of the variables inside of the big bucket of variance that people forget about is function. So we're like, what are all the things we can vary? Everything becomes the answer, but we go with the kind of low hanging fruit, load, reps, time, and then you get into priority, the modalities, coupling, all that kind of stuff. But then the last one is function. So there'd be nothing wrong with doing. And listen, and weightlifters do this every day, by the way, right? So it's not like the end of the world. So we do have to exercise a little bit of practicality, which is like, it's not the end of the world and definitely not a bad thing. Weightlifters will squat heavy multiple times in the same week. Sometimes squat heavy, back squat multiple times in the same week. It depends on who we're talking about and have we worked them up to that, right? So it's not like, can you? Absolutely, you can. I should be thinking about the context of the athlete or the group of athletes that I'm dealing with. A weightlifter who's been training for 2 years has built a tremendous amount of volume and strength to be able to handle that over a short period of time, where a CrossFitter might get crushed by having 2 heavy squat days in the same week. That neurologically, they might not be able to handle that. So the smart way to do it would be like swap the functions, like do a heavy squat and then maybe a bench press or an overhead press on the second day. Nothing wrong with that.
So what if you did have 2 heavy squat days? How would you go about modifying, scaling that for the deconditioned athlete on the second day? Everybody does it on the first day. They come in, they're trashed. They still haven't recovered from the first one. What would you do there?
Is it the next day?
I don't know. I mean, we'll call it. I mean, I don't think the question is saying like, well, why would you have 2 heavy squat days back?
Well, I mean, assuming you're
in the same week.
First of all, if you're squatting twice, I mean, easy would be like, okay, front squat, back squat, or overhead squat, or lots of different box squat, lots of different options there. But I also think,
the key component of that, Jay, is that in and of itself would modulate volume.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like
right.
that you go from back squat Monday. For example, I back squatted Monday, and Thursdays I, kind of just made my own template for right now. And I back squat Mondays and I clean and jerk, squat clean Thursdays. Sometimes I'm a little sore, but it's light enough because it's a clean, that it doesn't trash me. And just the way you squat, it's more posterior when I back squat, a little more anterior when I'm cleaning. So that'll do it.
The other, just before you move on to that, is like volume, right? So one could be like a heavy day and the other one could be a heavy volume day, right? It feels the same once I get deeper into the volume versus, so like, let's just say one of those days is like heavy doubles, heavy triples maybe. And then the second day is 7s or 10s, right? Like that is going to get real heavy based on the volume that you're doing. So you could do both of those.
Yeah, but and again, I think for a beginner like Cody asked, they're going to wind up scaling themselves, just modifying it, right?
Right. Trish says follow it up with Annie and only Annie the following day. So just sit ups and double unders.
It's the default.
I once heard, I think it was Glassman, just be like, sometimes variance is doing the same thing 2 days in a row.
Right. If you're not doing things like that, then by definition, it's not variance.
Yeah.
Like if you, right. And like we even say that in the programming lecture, which is like, hey, these are the common themes in effective CrossFit workouts. Like it basically lends themselves to high intensity. But if that's all you did, that would not by definition be variance. Like you should deviate from those patterns. You should go heavy days back to back. You should go strengthless Metcon back to back days. You should go Metcon plus strength after that. Like that is the whole point. Just put it together logically, right? Like put some thought into like, how would this all be married together over a course of 5 days to 2 weeks, right? To a month, right? There's a difference between like, this is a great training session versus like, this is 5 great training sessions individually put together in 1 week now makes really awful training, Like that's a real scenario.
Well, and it's funny too, because the same people that are like, I want to do this because games athletes are doing this. It's like the games is like the same thing 5 days in a row. Like there's just no way. I mean, they squat 5 days in a row. They press 5 days, just because of the nature of it. So
Birdie. No, Affiliate U is not US only. We have people in the UK. We have people in Europe. We've got people in New Zealand, Australia,
Canada, even.
We basically own the island of Ireland at this point.
We've got a bunch in Ireland. We just had someone sign up today from Germany.
You want me to throw up the box map here?
Are you allowed to do that?
I don't know. Am I?
Marcus will yell at it. Do it, but it's real quick.
Flash and bring it down.
Marcus, if you're watching, stop watching.
He's not watching. He doesn't watch these things.
He usually calls me during the show. Last week I was like mid progression. Marcus is calling me. Joel just texted me. I'm like, okay, you guys don't watch our own show. Okay, are you gonna throw it up real quick?
I don't have the website on hand. I'm gonna have to go searching for it. It's gonna
all right, search it while you ask the next question.
All right. So on the same vein as squatting, one of the questions we had on Instagram is, what are some good squat cues and drills for people who turn their feet out too much?
Ooh, stop doing that. Easy
Stop
one.
That. That's not a good cue. We already discussed this. You don't say bad. Stop that. Stop doing that.
You look like a duck. No, as someone for a long time, to this day, my right foot more than my left still slowly turn out.
What is happening in the comments right now? Talking about quilting groups?
I don't know what Trish is
like, are you in my quilting group? I thought this was a coach development. This is very quickly turning into a Pinterest.
Ryan is look, Ryan. I'm wearing classified today. I don't know what's happening over there, but as someone whose foot used to creep out, one thing that really helped me was I personally think when I'm squatting about grabbing the ground, big toe, pinky toe, heel, squeezing the ground, and I, for a long time, used to put bumper plates on my right foot. I put 45-pound plates there.
So you're referring to like as they squat, basically this happens?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the plate used to just be a tactile cue for me, and it really helped.
What I have found more often than not eliminates that altogether is widening the stance, specifically meaning turning the heels out to a wider position to a slightly straighter foot will reduce that foot movement.
I can't argue with that. I think that's good.
What is happening over here?
The comments is just dissolved into a dumpster fire.
You know what? This is what happens, though, right? When you start making it big, you start building a community. You get this comment section.
Crazy people.
Goes,
hit us with another question, Cody.
All right, here we go. How do you develop more skills for coaches using their hands and efficient use of words?
Huh?
This is another one from Instagram.
I was reading that earlier, and I don't really think I understand the question.
I think maybe it's like
how do you get people better at tactile and verbal cues?
Yeah.
How do you get coaches better at them, or how do you get better at doing them?
I think how do you develop your coaches? Like this is a coach who maybe is trying to train their team, and
I'll give one example because we're currently on it in Affiliate U in the coaches development, and this week we're all about expanding our arsenal of cues, verbal, visual, and tactile. One of the best ways you can do that is figure out, we've talked about the style of cueing you give is typically the style you prefer. It's like your love language. So if you like to get visual cues, you tend to give visual cues. And you're better at one than the others, and you typically struggle in one. Find the one you struggle in, and for that class, try to use it exclusively. You're going to fail. It's very hard to do that, but it'll at least make you think about it.
I would argue you will make more progress in that single hour than you will have made the previous lifetime of your coaching. If I don't remember, I think this is years ago, but I used to make that a point when I'd walk into class and I'd be like, yo, I'm only doing this. I don't care how shitty it is. I'm literally just doing that. And you'll find out real quick what works and what doesn't. And and you'll do a lot of wacky stuff that you'll never do again. But you have to be forced into that position, and there's no other way to do that other than like limiting the skills. And we used to do that a little bit more aggressively in the level 2. It's not that aggressive when we like, you can only do this, but it's definitely, there's some validity to doing that.
Oh, just this week watching people like Nick was a great Nick. By the way, we watched you yesterday. You weren't on the call, so there's feedback on the call. Nick did you do only visual or only tactile? I can't remember. I think he did only visual cues, and you could just see it forces you to think about cues differently. It forces you to put yourself in different positions if you're doing visual versus tactile. It forces you just to expand that arsenal. So yeah, I think it's a great drill.
Hidden gem of doing just tactile, which most people don't think about, is it will really highlight how much most coaches do not move throughout the class.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things we see the most. It's like, here's a demo, PVC goes down, and then they're like, that PVC is like a barrier, like they won't cross it, right? We see that on the progression too, Cody. Yeah, so just mixing that up. And here's the thing, you don't have to do it for the entire hour. Even if you're like, hey, we're gonna do a snatch workout during the teaching portion. I'm only and Nick did a really good job too. Here's something else that you could do. Like, nothing wrong with saying to your members, hey guys, I'm working on this today. I feel like sometimes as coaches or owners, we feel we can't just put it out there. Nick said it to his class, hey guys, I'm working on visual cues today, so you're going to notice that's what I'm doing. And the members like, okay, cool.
I'll give you another example of this where so Jared, who's one of my it's like him, Cassidy and Lindsay, those are they run the gym. He just took the gymnastics course. Fantastic things to say about it. Like, he just won't shut up about it. And so he's looping in a ton of different ways. He told him, he's like, yo, I've learned a bunch of stuff at this course. I'm going to start looping a lot of these things into the warm-ups. And he told everybody, he's like, we're going to work a lot on these positions, which some people may or may not like. So just, again, to your point, just with a different tool or different skill set, like, it's okay to tell people that. It actually makes more sense when you tell them.
All right.
And as an owner too, I think it's okay to be a little more. I was just on a call with Jen Bombshell, and she said, Chase's box closed down in Texas. Fern, Chase.
He sold it, and then yeah.
And one of the things he told her was like, I would have been a little more transparent with my members about things. Like, I think it's okay to, you don't have to tell them how much money you're making, but it's okay to be like, this price went up and this price went up,
Yeah.
Throw up the box map really fast.
Oh, let's see real quick.
That's it.
Take it down. Take it down. Wow.
Take it down.
Here we are, international. All right. Look, international. Got some more people. Australia over here.
Yeah. India, baby.
Will you do me a favor, Cody, while you're on this?
What?
You have the link available?
Yeah.
Will you shoot it over to Joel? You have Joel's number?
Yeah.
All right. Shoot it over to
Joel. Pull it down. People are going to know.
Pull it down, yeah. But seriously, text it to Joel, because he literally, a text came up like about Germany. And I was like, I don't know. I'm on the podcast.
I will. I'll send it to him. Next question. Also, look, what's Birdie doing over here? He said, I'd like to give you a tactile cue, Trish. White pack is getting out of control.
You're gonna get canceled over there.
All right. Let's see. Let's go to questions from Craig Wood. He had a series of like 5 of them about being like making a living as a coach. So how many people make a living as a CrossFit coach, do you think? I guess percentage wise out of all the coaches who are out there.
The short answer to that question, Craig, is not enough, but we're changing that.
Yeah, but I don't want to go off on a tangent right now, but
you're going to.
Yes.
So just don't say it then.
No, because
you want to.
It's been bothering me.
You clearly want to, so just be like, I want to go off on a tangent, and then tangent off into a tangent.
Stop that. Why are you doing that? Stop that.
I put up a post the other day about not showing up smelly to class, basically, and people are arguing with me about it. And this is what?
There wouldn't be smart people without dumb people.
Fair. And I agree with you. And that's why I'm like, these people are like, I can't, why are you going to yell at them? This, I'm like, no, I don't negotiate with dumb people, right? Ultimately. But it's like, this is, who asked that question, Cody?
Craig Wood.
Craig Wood. This is part of the problem. CrossFit coaches are not willing to admit that the company and the brand and the method, like, we've matured over the years. Yeah, back in the day, I know Fern, myself, and many other high-level coaches showed up with a sweaty shirt or knee sleeves or their shirt off even. And it's like, if we want to be professionals, we need to act like professionals. And that's, going to this question. If we want more and more people, like Fern said, not enough, it starts there. It's the fact that people are arguing about it is stupid. Like, change your damn I'm not suggesting you don't work out. I'm suggesting somebody said, Fern, somebody said this, oh, you guys all trained on during the weekends at seminars. I said, I didn't argue with it, but it's like, just so everybody knows, seminar weekend, Fern's a flow master. He will tell the group this, hey guys, let's pick a workout at lunch that demonstrates threshold training. So don't move like a bag of dog turds. B, make sure it's short enough so we can be done at least 10 minutes early. And in those 10 minutes, get your shit together so we look like professionals again. And that's what
do not walk out on to give a lecture like panting heavily and sweating your face off. Like, don't do it. It looks like trash and we're not going to tolerate it. Like, that's just, again, what do professionals do? Do those things. If you know somebody who you're like, that is a consummate professional, like, act like that person. And it doesn't involve any of those things.
Yeah, and I've worked 100+ seminars in Florida. It's sweaty. Guess what? I would finish on time, bring a towel with me, and yeah, my shirt might get a little sweaty when I throw it back on. But that's different than showing.
It's 95 degrees out and there's no AC and no fan in a box. Like, you're gonna sweat.
You're sweating anyway.
That's a different story.
But there's a very big difference between showing up like, I worked out 20 minutes ago, I'm kind of cooling off, and like, I'm full sweat. Like, you could tell the difference. And like, look, drinking an O2, shout out Dave, or a protein shake, not a big deal. But we've all been to class. The guy clearly is sweaty, shaking his shake up. It's like, you don't look like you give a shit about me, the members that are paying to be here. Okay.
Yeah,
people just, yeah.
All right. So in the same vein, let's take Trisha's question over here.
Okay.
Is the level 1 price a barrier to people making it a career path? I think CrossFit does a bad job of saying.
I'm going to answer this very bluntly. Trish, I love you. And maybe you're not saying this, but absolutely not. That is such a low barrier to start a career. It's laughable.
11. Imagine like, yeah, what else? You can't even become like, I don't want to say anything because it's like down, like, but I mean, you can't be like a hairdresser, or you can't even become a house cleaner for less. Like, you need to buy a vacuum. You need to buy other things. Like, like, and
it's
also,
well, this is also something where like, this is a weird one to me, because I'm like, for the record, there should be some investment for you to start a career. Like, if I go to school, I have to take out a loan to go to school. It's not free. And can some people not afford that? Absolutely. There are people that cannot afford that. And would we want them to? For sure. I will tell you this, everybody that's ever wanted to take that course has figured out how to do it.
And I don't know, her second statement here, Fern, I think CrossFit does a bad job of saying, not that one, sorry, Cody, about what the ROI is. I don't know that I don't think they do a bad job. You may be right in that they don't, but they probably don't have the number. I mean, I can tell you the ROI on my level 1 is fucking through the roof. Like,
well, it depends on what you do with it. ROI is completely dependent on you.
Right. Like
there's no, you can't buy anything that guarantees you. So, like, what's the ROI on going to med school? Well, it depends on what kind of surgeon you decide to be.
And where you get a job and how good you are.
Right. All of those things, and how hard you work, and how many years of your life sacrificed during your, your fellowship or your residency. Like, all of those factor in. Like, that is, this is something I learned several years ago, which is like, I don't ask like, how much does it cost anymore when I'm like investing in something, because I'm going to make my money back, because I bet on me. And I'm like, if I'm doing this, I'm making my money back. I don't give a shit what it costs.
It's why we tell people, you and I have done Tony Robbins, right? And it's like, you can go to Tony Robbins and get nothing back. Yep, clap those hands. Or you can go to Tony Robbins and start a company like best hour of their day after, because you're psyched up and motivated, right? And same with Affiliate U. Our best clients, the ROI is through the roof, and it's not that they're getting something different than the clients that aren't getting this. It's that they're working their ass off, and a lot of times by putting money down, skin in the game, you're going to work harder.
The next piece there, that one, there's the difference between the cost of a course and cost of living in a certain place are two different things. Obviously, earnings might be different in those two areas, but like $1 in the United States is $1 in the United States, right? Like, because that course costs the same there. You're talking about different in earnings, but inflation is inflation. And now there's something to be said for, I was having this conversation with somebody the other day about, Brazil versus or other countries like that, where like the exchange rate is like wild, where $3,000 is a year's earning for some people in certain countries. Like that is a different conversation. But in the United States, yes, I can go somewhere else and like the price of home would be cheaper, but like earning potential is kind of whatever you make it.
Also, Mississippi, I'm sure there's areas of Mississippi that are doing better than areas.
Listen, Oxford, Mississippi is not like that's where like the fancy people live. Like everybody there wears pleated pants and 2 collared shirts.
Yeah, I lived in
this is
an
true.
area of New York where
I have family that lives in Oxford.
Do you?
Yeah,
it's fancy.
It's super bougie.
When are you moving out of Alabama? I thought you were moving.
Get my wife to pick up
get
her
a new
feet.
wife.
You need a new one of those.
Let's continue down that same path. We'll come back to Birdie's question. I got it starred, but Craig Wood has a few more on the same note. In what ways do coaches supplement their coaching income? Can a coach do one-on-one nutrition coaching separate from the gym's challenges? Can they work at multiple boxes?
All of that is yes and no. It depends. Like that is a conversation to be had between the coach and the box owner. That depends on how all of that is set up. But I've seen all of those done, and I've seen scenarios where like you couldn't do any of those. So that's just the conversation about what is the box owner want and how does that work.
So what would be the reason for not allowing a coach to coach at multiple boxes?
I mean, the easy answer is typically it's the owners are afraid that you're going to poach or bring members from one box to another.
So I have had coaches very sparingly do this in the past. One coach, Jared, actually coached at Orange Theory for a while. Didn't care. That's whatever. Me personally, it's not that I'm not going to allow it. I'm probably not going to hire that person, right? Because I want them invested here at CrossFit, right? Because I'm going to be spending a lot of time and energy on them. So in that sense, it's not that I'm afraid that they're going to go somewhere else. I'm not investing my time and energy into somebody else's business. Like I just don't have enough bandwidth for that. Like I'm not doing it.
That's a challenge because that's something to consider, right? Like I coached at numerous boxes when I lived in Florida. It was never an issue because
you could do it. I know people that do it. It's fine. I'm just not doing it.
For you as the owner, when you are really good at developing your coaches, you're developing someone else's employee now or contract.
Right. Yeah. Right. That's my point. I was like, I'm not doing that. And it's not that they can't go coach somewhere else. I'm like, you can go coach somewhere else, but now you can't coach here.
Yeah. Then, I think a lot of coaches supplement their income from one-on-one clients, from
PT, nutrition,
all those things. And, and that goes back to what Fern and I have said time and time again. We are not anti-PT. We are very pro-PT. If that's something, we're anti people telling you to do PT when you don't want to be doing PT. But you should have a nice little personal training.
Or you're not good at it and your group thing sucks. Right. Yeah. It's just like, it's a priority matrix, right? Like how do you figure that out?
But even when I was the owner, I had a handful of one-on-one clients and I was charging them top dollar and it was cool. And as a coach, you should be doing that as well as nutrition. I mean, as well as, Ryan over here has Classified Fitness. He has coaches that run programs. He's about to kick off a running program, right? And they should be doing, 6-8 week programs that people sign up for and they get a good percentage of it. Like there's tons of ways to be doing it.
I like that last one there, because we do that quite a bit actually, from Birdie at the bottom.
Let's go ahead and get one
Yeah.
Birdie's first question over here. Do you think you would get the same knowledge by reading the level 1 manual as taking the actual course?
Nope.
Yeah, definitely not.
That's it. Just no.
Well,
no, Birdie.
Because you can consume the information, but the fantastic thing about the level 1 when I sat for it, which is like, yeah, I can read it. That doesn't mean I understand it. And it definitely, there's no way for me to have, like, I can't expound on the information. Well, somebody else can. They can like dig deep into that and like unpack some of that information for me and then help me understand it. The level 1 is fantastic. Everybody should read it multiple times.
I learned
You're
just
still
by
going
going
to need to help.
you know, like every time you read it, you're going to learn a little bit.
Right. So you could, but you would need somebody else to kind of bounce some of that stuff off to kind of play back and forth on it.
Well, follow up to that then would be the online level 1, the one where you can actually get the digital courses too. You get a little bit more context, but you don't get to actually be in there with the experience of it too. So
yeah, you don't have the ability to ask questions. This is my personal opinion, obviously. I think virtually nothing virtual is better than in person,
including this podcast.
Correct.
So let's go to his other question here. What are some ways that you best recommend sprinkling in elements of the level 1 into classes? Or do members just not really care and they're just there to work out?
I think the most effective way to do this is almost like just walk the walk, right? Like our members at CrossFit, right? We don't give lectures or anything like that, but many of them who because we probably sent well over 50 people to a level 1 in my 14 years owning the affiliate. Most of them get in there and they're like, yeah, I've heard much of this before, right? Like maybe not the exact same tone and stuff like that. We live it. That's how we teach things, but we don't give lectures. We'll things in small chunks, right? In passing that they're going to hear dozens of times in their interaction with you until and they might not even know what it means, but eventually it'll click and they'll be like, oh, okay, now I'm putting those together. But who's Brian Boucher, Midstate CrossFit out in Cali, he gave a series of talks at the gym on the weekend, and he like dozens of people showed up from his gym and other gyms to just sit and talk. He talked about the sickness continuum and a bunch of other stuff, the health, sickness, wellness, fitness continuum, and a bunch of other stuff. That's a fantastic way to spread that information.
Yeah, and like you said, I used to love when my members would go to a level 1. I would love it and I would hate it at the same time. Like, I didn't learn anything. I'm like, you did. But what you're really saying is we sprinkle this in all the time. And I think some of the best, I think Fern nailed it, like walk it, but also whiteboard, cool down, and then just sprinkling in knowledge as you coach. But like, if you're talking like the methodology, like what is CrossFit, what is fitness technique, whiteboard brief, sprinkle it in cool downs, and then like you said, Boucher did a great job. Like I used to do a what is cross, like I could give the what is CrossFit lecture before I was on staff just because I gave it probably 10 times at the box.
I don't know what Jeffrey Birchfield means by do you only bring in level 1 certified coaches?
I think he might be asking me.
Well, I mean, I don't even know if that's a real thing, right? Like,
you know what Cody's doing. Cody's letting us know he knows they're not certified.
Correct. Yeah.
We get it, Cody. You're making up for not knowing the
progression. Yeah. I believe Jeff is asking if shout out Brent. I believe Jeff is asking if that's my criteria. So yeah, and for the record, everybody's got to start there. Like you don't get to skip that portion, right? So I do want everybody to take it, and I will put you. However, I believe technically speaking, I believe this to be true. You do not have to hold that credential in order to coach an affiliate.
Somebody has to be there with it, but you don't have to have it.
You don't have to have it. I know I don't recommend that, but I have started people in the coaching journey prior to them getting the credential. So I guess this is kind of a weird one, but like I wouldn't have anybody like permanently on the staff who doesn't have one. I would not.
Yeah, I think I've been to a couple of affiliates before where they had like a veteran member who was running open gym while the level 1 was in the office, like doing admin work or something.
Yeah,
Or technically, like, you know, there's a level 1 that's here, and open gym is still being seen.
I don't even know if the like in the building is accurate. I think just the LOR, you have to be doing it inside an affiliate technically.
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was you had to be there, but maybe not.
I mean, who's going to police that? Number one, I'm not saying this is a good idea.
No, but if somebody got hurt, your insurance might not cover it.
Well, I don't know that your insurance states that they have to be. They would. I think they probably need to hold a credential.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's. I mean, when I first opened in 2007, no one else had their level 1, and when I would go away, I would be like, "Can someone watch class?" Like, and that's a good way to get someone started, though. They're like, "Oh yeah," like Cody said, we can watch the open gym, and then all of a sudden they're like helping and cool. Yeah. Trish, you've never taken the level 1. You should be taking. You should do that. Everyone,
Trish, you're out of the whack pack.
It should. Anyone that's listening, watching, should definitely take the level 1. It's so good. You will learn, even if you have no desire to ever coach in your life. It should be part of your CrossFit journey.
How many people do you think take the level 1 that never coach? They just take it just because they want to. They've been told it's.
I would say at least 10 to 20% every weekend.
Oh, I was going to say more than that.
I usually ask my first group, like, who's coaching, who's not, who doesn't want. Yeah, 2 or 3 per group. Yeah, so maybe 20, 25%.
And I would say, like, also excluding, people who want to own affiliates who have to have it to be the owner, but they don't plan on coaching.
I think
like,
that's
just people who are taking it just to take it.
I don't think there's many people that take the level 1 only to own an affiliate and not actually coach. I think that might eventually happen, and there's probably some, but I don't think that's super common.
I would agree. Yeah.
Matt, when are we starting the level 2? Next week, baby.
Oh, you mean for the manual? Yeah. Next week, Steve Haydock.
We don't take breaks here.
Yeah.
This is
practice. You talking about practice?
Wish I had that queued up.
Go on, Allen Iverson.
Timo, I was just about to ask about the online level 1 option. He's a person that's interested, but they're not native English speaking, and there's no translated option close by soon. Is the online version a viable option?
Yeah, I think it's viable. I think you should just, at some point in the next 2 to 3 years, because I think it has a 3-year revalidation period.
The online?
Yeah, I think it's 3 years.
And then I think, then you get a discount within 12 months of. So if you take the online level 1, you will get it's a pretty steep discount. I don't know what the exact.
It was like $250 only.
Yeah, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 70. It's currently somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 to 80% discount of the in-person. If you go take the in-person within 12 months of taking the online level 1, so that would be. No, I don't know how many whack packs Trish is in, Matt.
The last one up here from Craig was, what are the common errors new coaches make? And I know that's really broad, so let's narrow that down. What do you think is the most common error that
not listening to the Best Hour of Their Day podcast?
We agree.
I don't disagree.
No, I think it's they fail to plan.
Yeah, super simple.
They just show up to class. I'm like, do you have a lesson plan? They're like, oh. They
show up sweaty from the previous class, drinking a protein shake instead of. That's the point of it. Like, imagine you're a doctor, Fern. You had that eye surgery a couple months ago now. Imagine if your doctor.
I had cataract surgery. Everybody, I'm old.
He's a 70-year-old living in a 40-year-old. Imagine if the doctor walked in sweaty. And he's like, "Hey, do you mind if I eat while I do this surgery?" You'd be like, "Get the fuck out of here! Like, you're not coming near my eyes." Oh man.
You guys have got in your inbox from me earlier today, like a lengthier version of Jeff Sawulski's question.
Yeah, I deleted that email. Do we need that?
Come on, man.
About world. Come on, you should put that one. Come on, man. You should know about the world-class fitness in 100 words.
Oh, he's got a long question, Jeff.
Yeah, so I'm just going to throw it up here. Like, what are your thoughts about the order in which the world-class fitness in 100 words is written? And then, you guys can see his explanation there. But
can you pull it up? Could you pull up world-class fitness to the screen?
Give me a second.
So here's what I would say. I understand the sentiment of Jeff's question. However, there's just certain things I'm like, you don't need to change it. Just leave it. Right? Like, it's like, hey, could we improve the Mona Lisa? Yeah, we could put eyebrows on that lady and it might be better, but like, it's no longer the Mona Lisa anymore. Right? Something different.
Ultimately, nutrition is the first thing, which is the foundation. Learn and play new sports is the top of the pyramid, which is the last sentence, right?
And for the record, the World Class Fitness in 100 Words is not. When he wrote that, it wasn't meant to be in order, right? He's just making a statement about what it would be. The pyramid is a visual representation of this idea of world class fitness in 100 words.
The only thing that really would change is the bike, run, swim, row would be above the practice and train major. No, because we go gymnastics and weightlifting, right? So yeah, I mean, so the only thing that would change is the major list would go after that. But I agree with Fern, not a big deal. Do I think if Glassman? I think like anything. I mean, George Lucas is still remaking the Star Wars movies, right? Like when it's your baby and something you care about, I think you would constantly be tweaking it and making adjustments to it. But I don't think it needs it. Just like I don't think like who shot who first, Han Solo or what was his name, Greedo? You guys know what I'm talking about? No. You guys don't know that? Come on, somebody in the comment know the Star Wars reference I'm talking about? That's funny. Come on, Han Solo shot first, etc. Anyway, I feel like I lost everybody.
You did, yeah. It's
totally lost me.
Lose everybody.
Point being, I think any creative genius, Glassman, George Hanshot, thank you, Vincent, George Lucas, Coach Glassman, they're always refining their works. Hanshot, there we go. People get, thank you. So
yeah, right. That's right, Trish.
That is funny, Trish. I like that's why she's in the black pack.
All right. Well, that is all the questions that we've got.
All the questions we have?
It's all the questions we have from Instagram and in the email. So if there's,
right. Did you have more?
We're 47 minutes in right here. So if we already went over all our starred ones. But if there's
any questions in the chat,
yeah. So
there was one up here I don't think we answered, wasn't there?
Just
hold on.
Ask me anything you want.
Oh, was that the sound?
You want? Yeah.
I know everything there is to know.
Oh, Forrest Gump. That's good. When are you getting Carl Stedman? Oh, Birdie. Hey, add that to the list. Carl's a fantastic human being. I will definitely reach out to Carl.
He's a godfather of CrossFit, of the Euro CrossFit crew.
Yeah, I will. I would tell you this. Like, let's get Carl on, Fern. Just a cool virtual episode. Not for the manual. Let's just get him on because, like Fern said, he has probably got some incredible stories about the Euro crew and affiliates. Cody.
Oh, he absolutely does.
I don't know if I have Carl's phone number. Let me see. Oh, I do. 4 number.
What else? I thought there was something else in here.
Yeah, if you find anything, I thought I started them all.
Oh, you're probably right.
Yeah, so unless the chat's got something.
All right, I text Carl. Who asked that?
Ooh, that one is intriguing. So if you had to, hold on, go back to the next one.
Which one?
The one underneath that from Nick P. We'll come back to you, Brian. Okay, if you had to pick only one of the 4 models of fitness, which one would it be, Jay?
Sickness, wellness, fitness.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, do we just become best friends?
Oh yeah, want to go do karate in the garage? Yeah.
I think that's just the easiest one to understand. It makes the most sense. Like it brings in outside lifestyle factors. So I think
I think it encompasses more, right? Because you can put anything on the continuum. So you could explain multiple concepts within there. It's still not complete, but if I had to pick one, I would probably pick that one.
Second would be the 10 general skills, I think, because it just makes sense. Like, okay, I need to train all these things, you know?
Yeah.
Oh.
What would you say is not complete about the continuum?
Well, it doesn't really it doesn't factor in essentially models 2 and 3, which are the hopper and the metabolic pathways, because you could not be good at certain things, but not but not be sick. Right. So that it's missing quite a bit there, because the models 2 and 3. So if you're thinking about the definition of fitness, it's work capacity across broad time and modal domain. So when we're thinking about the modal domains, you're talking about models 1 and 2, right? So you're thinking about the 10 general physical skills and the hopper. Broad time is model 3, which is metabolic pathways. And then when we get into the definition of health, now you're talking about the sickness, wellness, fitness continuum. So, it's work capacity across broad time and modal domains throughout your life. So that's how the lecture starts, which is like, by the way, he had all of the models before he had the definition. So he made the definition after he had the models, because none of the models and we say this in the lecture, is like, none of these models by themselves is sufficient. Collectively, they're what give us the definition of fitness.
By the way, Carl got back to me already, Birdie. He will be on the show. Cody, you'll get an email after this.
That's what we do.
So we make it happen fast.
That's what we do. We know everybody
in
the community. So if you're going to come onto Instagram and throw shade and say that you've been on seminar staff of some sort, we're going to find out very quickly that you've not been on. We're going to find out very quickly that you've not been on a seminar staff.
You're not referring to anyone specifically.
Yeah.
By the way, I heard we might be going back to Austin, Texas.
I mean, we're trying.
Yeah, so we might see Jeremy again and actually get to work out there. We didn't get to work out there last time because we were hustling around Austin.
All right.
Let's do this one from Boucher.
Yeah.
What's your favorite, Fern? I know mine.
Go ahead. What is it? I know what yours is.
We think
read the question first. As a seminar staff,
as a seminar staff member, what is your favorite level 1 lecture and why? I know yours is what is CrossFit.
Yeah, it's my favorite, mostly because of my jokes. I got good jokes for that one.
That's literally what I was going to say was your favorite. It's because you can tell jokes and stories.
That's it. What's yours?
I
guess yours. Technique.
No.
No.
I love technique. I absolutely love what is fitness. I love that lecture. Yeah. It's just like, it's so profound and it's so deep. And there's so much to unpack there. And I remember for me, I was just like, oh shit, I get it now. Like, that makes sense to me. I love that lecture. And I like it because I also like to try to make that information or that content relatable, because I do think it is hard to do.
I think that's, having done this long enough, like you and I have, now my focus when giving some of these lectures is to teach it like you're teaching it to a 5-year-old. Like, I need to get these concepts across there, but I really want this to make sense. So you could talk to your members about it, like our previous question.
Advice from Jorge. Advice on doing the level 4. Coach a lot. Read the manual that they send you, and definitely have somebody put eyes on your coaching prior to coaching. I'm taking mine in July.
Does that mean you're gonna submit a video for the progression?
Ooh.
What do you mean?
He wants you to submit a video so I can watch it as of the level 4.
Well, I mean, typically what you would do is, you were going to submit a video. You would submit a video to somebody who's better than you, not somebody who's worse than you.
I've watched quite a few people prepare for the level 4. I watched someone this morning at CrossFit Sanitas. She's not from there. Jenny was there. Jenny Gibbs from De Novo. And I told her the same thing I told GC when I watched him, and even many of the people on the progression. It's like, these are outstanding classes. Like, anyone that's been on the progression, anyone I go to watch, like, you are the top 5% of CrossFit coaches in the world. Now, top 1% become level 4, right? So it's like, it's not just run a good class. It's are you running a good class, hitting all the 6 criteria of an effective coach, but then, like, ultimately, are people getting better?
Are you pushing people to threshold? Are you using all the names? Are you layering information in a way that, like, most people wouldn't even recognize it with regard to how you're teaching it and how you're but it goes flawlessly. Yeah. When you see it, I always like tell people, it's like porn. Even if you'd never seen porn before, you would know, be like, oh, that's definitely different, right? And it's like that. Like, when you see somebody do it, you're like, oh shit, okay.
But if you watch so much porn, it's just like, oh, it's just TV.
Then you should talk to
Stay away from that trap.
Side note, Jorge, in addition to that, if you're preparing for the level 4, Cody, what do you think? We watched enough episodes together on Thursdays, the progression. You got to go to other boxes. You have to go somewhere else. Because today I watched Jenny, and it's like you got to learn the names quickly, and the biggest
That's
thing
a skill.
yeah, and she did a great job. I think at the level 4, I'm not certain you'll get name tags, which makes it easy. But it's like if you're behind someone to the side. I mean, Fern and I, at a level 1 within an hour, I know 30 people's names, right? It's just
there's a game that we play on day 2 when we hand out name tags is to just walk up to people and hand them their name tag so that they don't actually have to get them.
What I try to do when we're proctoring the exam, I sit there and I will look at everyone and I try to name everyone's name in my head. Now, the side note is Monday afternoon, I know no one's name. Like if you came up to me in the street, I'd be like, have we met? But for those two, but you got to go to other boxes because the other thing Jenny experienced today was it was a little bit chaos when she broke the whiteboard brief. And it's like, it's a new teacher. It's like a substitute in high school. Remember, you would just misbehave a little bit. So you really, it'll force you to get that group management down.
Well, so that's where I was going to go with that. If you've never done that, so like Jay, you and I have done this many times at a level 2. These are the nuances, right? So this is something you learn. I think this is the best way to learn this is at CrossFit Kids, which is like when you're coaching, group management is leaving nothing up to chance. Be very directive in everything, right? So you break from the whiteboard brief. It's like, it's not just like, all right, guys, let's go. Immediately you're screwed. Just be like, hey, over there, I want everybody on that wall facing this direction, and everybody needs to have a yellow rubber band, right? Like those are the types of directions, and you need to do it. Let's do it on the hop. I want you there in 60 seconds. Like, let's go. Those are the types of things that demonstrate a different level of group management. This tells you like, oh, this person's been doing this for a while. They definitely understand how to command a group.
Yeah.
That's a really common piece of feedback that we give on the progressions is just being more directive, because a lot of these people are coaching in their home boxes. They're really comfortable around their members. It's like, look, if you're preparing for the level 4, it's not going to be like that. Like it's going to be a lot of people you don't know, a foreign environment. You're going to get the workout, whatever, like, what is it, 2 days ahead of time? It's like,
yeah, I think you get a 48 ahead.
So you got to be on top of it.
Yeah. And then, that was the overall feedback for her was like, obviously seeing and correcting, but how you're going to get there is the group management.
Fern, what do you think here?
I think eventually, yeah. I think you would. I mean, it'd be silly if they didn't, honestly.
How long? That's probably going to be years from now.
I think it's kind of the same thing that they ran into with the level 3 is like you have to have it. Yeah, it has to have been out long enough for everybody to have had the opportunity. So just based on throughput, I would call it a few years before you could like make that a hard standard. So I would say 24 to 36 months would be like maybe a fair timeline for that, because of the choke point there with the level 4 is the number of raters. There's only so many people that are qualified to rate for the level 4, because and for anybody that's wondering, that was the hardest part about them getting that online was I don't know what it entails, but it's a very rigorous process to develop raters to rate in this format so that everybody rates by the same criteria and there's a consistency across raters. That was one of the hardest things from everybody that I've talked to that was part of building that. That was the hardest part to do.
Yeah. And I think GC told me today it was like a 500 person wait at this point to sign up for it.
I mean, you could do the private one. I think you can apply for a private one.
Oh, really? And come out to your gym, or you go there?
I think so. I think you can apply for it. I don't know if it puts you anywhere on the wait list. I think Nicole Christensen told me they're booking like 10 weeks out from right now. Like I booked in July. Like
now, when you got it because it was at your box, did you have the first option to book it? The 3 of you?
I don't know. I requested. I'm like, can we just do it here? I don't know how that process works. I don't know what the mechanics of that are.
Not everybody can do that then. That was also
I don't know. I think you can request a private one. It just there's a different, I believe there's a different cost structure associated with it.
Gotcha. Cool. Any other questions?
That's it so far.
That's it. All right.
We're at an hour.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, we got a lot done.
Thank you, Gordon. Appreciate it.
What do we got? We got progression tomorrow. Who's on tomorrow, Cody?
Christian.
Oh, Christian's on tomorrow?
Christian's on tomorrow.
Christian's getting ready for his level 4. And then no hot seat this Friday, correct?
No, we have a hot seat tomorrow.
Oh, you go
This
one
is-
tomorrow morning?
Yeah, this is Audrey from the Netherlands. This will be our last Thursday episode.
This will be our last Thursday episode of the hot seat.
Cody does need a ring light. Do we pay you well enough to buy a ring? Do you need us to buy
No,
a-
you pay me with tips from the show. We've gotten zero today.
We made no money. We will get you a ring light. Put it on the list.
Just know Cody's going to go hungry, everybody.
I might have a light in my closet. I'll send it to you.
Actually, I have one at the house if you need
Do
it.
you?
I'll mail it to you.
All right. Now it's
I need you to pay shipping, though, Cody.
Oh, Jesus.
Cool. So we got hot seat tomorrow morning, progression tomorrow afternoon, no show Friday, Monday. Then normal hot seat time.
Correct. Yeah. So the hot seat will permanently be moving to Monday at 3 p.m. There may be an occasion where that gets bumped, but we're moving it to Mondays permanently moving forward.
And we, just for the record, we will have an episode on Friday. This is Jen Brockstrom part 2.
Oh, that's this Friday.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I got
nutrition,
many DMs that were angry about that episode being cut in half.
Yeah, but that was a while ago. We put it out too, so they've been waiting. It's a cliffhanger.
No, it was Monday.
No. It just came out on Monday, dude.
Did it just come on Monday? I feel like that was forever ago. Boucher, there we go. Thank you.
Look.
You get the cheapest ring light out there, Cody. $1.99.
Yeah, it's basically Cody. Here's your ring light. Take out your phone and just point the light at your face.
It's a flashlight I'm going to tape to the top of my computer.
It's for all the good coaching porn, boys. Yeah,
That's it, Boucher. We appreciate that. Anything else going on for us? Anything else we need to talk about?
No, man, I'm excited to kick off the level 1 was fun, right? Getting ready to kick off the level 2, though. We've got some superstar guests lined up. It's going to be super fun.
And we're going to have Carl Stedman on. I'm going to email him with you after this. And then, Cody, I do think this would be great. Can we get that?
What is this?
Can we do a greatest hits of just Fern arguing with people?
It's basically going to be. It's just a normal podcast of me arguing with you.
Yeah. No, it would obviously, be you and James arguing.
For sure. And then we need like screen recordings
too.
of
I was not arguing. That's literally the opposite of arguing. That was me trying to agree.
Cool. Well,
aggressively
we got a lot of
agreed.
Yeah, level 2 is going to be great. By the way, if you're an affiliate owner and you're listening, we do have a affiliate use special going on for 2 more days. So if you are interested in learning more, shoot us a message. We can hopefully get you in. But we got something special going on in March. And then we've got so many big things happening in the coming weeks. Let's just put it this way. Best Hour is growing. Fern, you're going to be in DC. When is that?
Next weekend.
Week.
Yeah,
You're going to be in DC for the affiliate summit. We've got some other things going on virtually.
One of us will be at virtually all of the summits in the U.S., just for the record. And
we've got just some other big projects. We've talked about it a little bit. We've hinted at it. We've got somebody really big joining the team in April. This is awesome. Fern, let's just take a moment. We're coming up actually on our 4-year anniversary. Like right now, it's April of 2019. 4 years coming up.
Is that when I feel like the podcast was 5 years ago, maybe.
No, April of 19. Positive.
Okay, it's 4 years.
4 years.
And Cody, what number podcast is this? Or does this count as a podcast?
This doesn't count.
No, it counts
It
as
does.
a podcast.
It counts.
Yes,
Remember
this
this
one is-
700?
This one is 622.
Oh wow.
I rarely open the podcast app on my phone, and I did the other day, and it was so many episodes downloaded.
620. So I think I have to do the math on it, but we might get to 750 this year.
Well, we do 3 a week. Do the hot seats count?
Hot seat and progression don't count. Any of the virtual shows and
we've done probably close to 1,000 because there's been plenty of episodes we didn't number.
Oh
past,
yeah. I mean, there's
yeah.
definitely
Popping
1,000.
ins.
There's 1,000 episodes out there, but there's only like 620 something
Numbered.
that are numbered.
But 4 years ago, dude, 4 years. Look at us now. Crazy.
Still haven't gotten anywhere, but
It's
been fun. It's
I
been
sent
fun.
you the text this morning. My buddy was like, "Hey, do you work with the non-CrossFits?" And I was like, "No, but feel free to I gave him my email, and he went to our site. And he's like, "Your site is amazing." I'm like, it wasn't when we started, so it's really cool to see it. And we've got some big stuff going.
This actually is funny. We're re-listening to the old podcast, and it's weird to hearing all the episodes about COVID. Yeah, that was we don't want to talk about it, Birdie.
Strange.
I know. I feel like a lot of shows that had like COVID times, like just ignore that period of time. Right? Jay's moved. I have moved a lot of time. I moved more than 3 times. We started when I was in Florida. So I lived in Boulder, Arvada. No, you're right. Boulder, then Arvada, then now Superior. Yeah, Ryan, you're right. I moved. This show started in my closet, and now I'm kind of in a closet again.
Just a bigger closet.
Bigger closet, yeah.
Thanks to all these donations.
Yeah, you guys think Cody's getting it. I'm keeping it. We don't even know where that money. Did we figure out where that money goes?
No, we don't know where the money goes.
It goes somewhere.
Wow, YouTube's getting it for sure.
We're taking at least 30%.
But cool. All right. Fern, we got a big graduation tomorrow, by the way, for some of our grads. I'm excited about. And then, we'll be back We'll be back Thursday, Friday, and then next week. Here we go. Cool.
All right.
Take us out, Cody. Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Clear your mind.